welcome to one and all to today's session of Navodima Gen X, Y, Z and beyond. You saw one of those stars already. We'll bring a couple more stars onto the stage. It is a privilege and honor for me to interact with our guests for this discussion today, Shekhar Kirani and Rishi Kulkarni. I'll just attempt to delve into their experiences to provide us with some insights on entrepreneurial spirit and ambition, building and working in startups, and how you make that jump out of a state corporate job into the sort of risky but also rewarding option of doing something on one's own. I think several people here, I'm sure, have that sort of itch on, should I move out of my corporate and start something on my own? So this is the session. We'll save some time at the end of the interaction to pick up some questions from the audience if you have, especially if there are topics that we have not addressed. Some brief introductions. Shekhar Kirani is a partner with Accel India, a venture capital firm. He joined Accel in 2011, has over 25 years of experience in business and tech leadership roles across several startups and large companies. His Midas Touch Award for Best Investor at the ET Startup Awards in 2022 for being the first check writer in Freshworks. Not just an incredible achievement in itself, but also testimony to his eye to spot winners. Shekhar sir, warm welcome to you. I'm not sure if I've done enough justice, but if I have missed something. Rishi Kulkarni, please welcome sir. He is now the MD for LegalZoom India. He has co-founded and sold 2 companies as an entrepreneur. Revv.Sales for Revv that was established in 2018 and absorbed into LegalZoom in 2022. And prior to that, OneClick that was founded in 2012 and acquired by Freshworks, then Freshdesk, in 2015. After which he was part of the Freshworks for 2 years. Has about 25 years of experience, largely in the product engineering and technology space. His focus is on building modern product experiences for small and medium businesses. Namaskara Rishi sir, warm welcome to you too. Rishi sir, I hope I didn't miss anything in introductions. Thank you once again to the audience. We will get started. Shekhar sir, let me kick this off with you. You worked in the corporate world, made the switch over to the other side as well, into venture capital. This would obviously bring you in connect with different people, those who are at the start of their careers, those who are already with an idea in hand, as well as those in corporates with several years of experience, but itching to start on their own, like I said. So your thoughts on how you meet these people, what suggestions would you give to people wanting to become entrepreneurs, wherever they are in their journey, right? Like I said, in the start, in the middle, later. Shekhar sir.
Yeah, so I'm Shekhar Kirani. In entrepreneurship, we can classify into multiple categories, multiple contexts. It's a complex subject. To say either people start as a bootstrap, where they raise some money from friends and family and start a business, or sometimes they build a very large company by raising money from VCs and PEs, and there's like a separate category of investors who invest. These 2 classes of companies are different. The entrepreneurship in general, I think there are a lot of myths, right? So if I say there is no difference between any of us here and Narayan Murthy, most of the people have to say yes to it. Only difference is Mr. Murthy started, we didn't start. That's the difference. So the biggest issue in any entrepreneurship is not starting. The fear. It is like climbing a mountain, right? And we tend to see, okay, maybe let me climb Nandi Hills. It's sufficient for me. Or maybe Mullanagiri, which is 2000 meters, Nandi Hill is around 1400 meters. Ours is around 1000 meters here. Or Base Camp, which is 5000 meters. Or Everest, which is around 9000 meters. But the surprising thing is, whether you start a small business, mid business, or large business, the effort, hard work, intent, luck, all remains the same. So why doesn't think big? Why think small, right? So some of the entrepreneurs start like thinking big. Some of them do what is called as installment thinking. They start, they'll do one small thing first. What else I can do? They do the next thing, and so on. The market, the competition, the customer segment, all have to align to your strategy. So the most important thing in entrepreneurship is to start. And to start, you have to prepare well and commit to it. And what I have kind of heard and read and believe is that there are only two outcomes in entrepreneurship. Either you win or you learn, right? And winners are not quitters, and quitters are not learners.
Wow, insightful. Thank you, Shekhar sir. Rishi sir, I turn to you now. You have lived this from the other side, having started first in a corporate job, then starting and selling off two ventures, and in between continuing to work with Freshworks, possibly regarded as a poster child today for tech startups in India. Could you look back at your experiences and share with us your thoughts for budding entrepreneurs, your journey, and how from that you can talk about entrepreneurship to those who want it? Even like as an example for Krishna, who's whether he goes ahead with his solar podcast.
First of all, thank you for having me on the stage here. I'm Rishi Kulkarni. I think Shekhar was very right. Is one of the key things for any entrepreneurship is really starting the venture or starting the idea itself. We as a country have always been full of entrepreneurs. Every community has always had entrepreneurs. But as we now start formalizing the idea of businesses, products, market, financing, that's where you start questioning a lot of things about where do I raise money from, where do I have people from, what kind of a market I go to. But all those starts addressing once you just start doing things. And from my own personal experience, I think I would say the best place to start is wherever you are. You can be an entrepreneur even in the job that you are at, right? Marshalling resources, really going after a belief that you have within the company itself is itself what I at least have believed. Somebody had advised me long back is what is called as muscle building. You can't really, as he just gave an example of climbing a mountain, you can't just day one wake up one day and climb a mountain. You need to start building that kind of muscle memory, or you can't need to build your breathing exercises. Same thing applies even with a startup. And I realized my own self I was just lucky to be at the right place at the right time and really practice some of these entrepreneurial ideas within the company. There was a particular idea nobody was willing to pay attention to, built it and took it to the market, learned how to really pitch it within the company, learned how to really get resources behind it. And also the most important thing about, the most critical thing about startup is the sense of commercialization, right? Ideas are great, but if they don't reach in the hands of the user, if there's no exchange of money, then that's the problem, that then it stays as an idea, it's not a market. So if you just add a couple of things, I would say the best way to start is wherever you are. It actually is an inspiration to see Krishna doing what he is doing at his age. For most of us, it takes a long time for us to wake up at our jobs and then realize, hey, I could also do it. And most of us can do it. In my case specifically, I remember back in 2008, 2009, there was a particular product in our company that everybody was ignoring, nobody was paying attention to. And I said, hey, if you were to give me a budget, a small team, and a sales team, I could take this one. And in exactly 6 months to 8 months, I remember a note coming to my boss is, who is this team and who is this guy? Fire them, they are building something bad. And those are the things that you do not back off, because you are still within a protected environment of a job, and you should double down, because those are the things that you start building muscles on when you go out in the market. So again, coming back just for my journey, I would say is, you are an entrepreneur where you are. You just have to start applying the same principles that anybody would do in an external business at your internal jobs, and then start building it from there.
Thank you, Rishi. Shekhar, I'll just pick one point from what Rishi and just read it out there. So he also spoke about how there is an idea within the company, right? So we've now beginning to have this concept as much of entrepreneur as an intrapreneur. So how important or relevant is it? How much can someone do something from where they are versus, trying to say, what should I take the full jump? If you want to chime on that.
So every large company today is worried about getting disrupted by startups, right? take a look at a startup. When he started, or any startups, they have no money, no employees, no brand, actually nothing. Now you say, I will go against a large company and demonstrate success. So what do they have? They have high energy, deep conviction that this idea will work, and I'm going to push through. That, if we can manufacture inside a large company, which is called as intrapreneurship, the velocity at which you convert your job to career, that's the difference in my mind. Job is I go there, I wait until my boss asks 4 times, then quietly lift my hand and I do it and get away. That is a job. Career is before your boss is asking, you already raise your hand and say, I will take care of that. If it is beyond your scope, you go to the other departments and do it. More exposure, more things you've done. Automatically companies notice it and say, when there's a new idea, new topic, new project, they say, you go and run it. That is entrepreneurship. So, before entrepreneurship, if there are opportunities to be an entrepreneur, I would do that so that I get learnt at someone's cost and potentially get more promotions and more money so that I can leave and start my idea sooner.
Thank you, Shekhar sir. That is a good tip, I think, for many of us who are in large companies and wondering, where to make the start. So you can make the start inside is the point you're trying to make. One question, I'll start with you, sir, and then come to you. Same question. How important do you think is it to have a formal education, or it's just an idea, brainwave, that says, okay, let's go and take the jump. You hear both stories, right? A lot of people with a lot of, both education or, experience. There's others that just have a brilliant idea, but seem to be just out of college, some dropouts making it big. So your take on, is it just an idea, brainwave that works, you get your money and get moving? How important is it to have a skill or an education or some stripes before you make that entrepreneurial push?
All these are very hard questions, but I think we just had an example right before our chat was Krishnendu himself, right? Ability to articulate in terms of in front of such a large audience, has it actually focused on one particular problem, and it's a very simple problem, right? There is heat strokes and you can cover yourself with a hat, which is smart device. I feel that most of us have that thing of ideas, empathizing with people and solving the problems. So I'm not sure if it's about education or any of those things. The couple of things that I think do matter is, and I think I know me, Shekhar, many of us, we keep talking, is there needs to be a market for whatever problem that you're solving, right? And India is such a great place today for so many ideas, be it business ideas, technology ideas, consumer ideas. India is a great place. So there has to be a market. Without that, luck doesn't play out. And if luck doesn't play out, at least I now believe nothing else matters. You just have to be at the right place at the right time, right? So that's number one. And the second is, again, if you looked at Krishnendu's slide also, he spent 4 slides talking about the problem, beautifully articulating about the deck, about the cap and everything. But he did mention about that one slide on where he wants to make profit, he doesn't want to make profit. Now that's a very important thing also, is you have to think about the commercial sense of it. That is, how do I sell this and how do I make money out of that? And that's why, again, the market matters. There has to be people who are willing to buy. There have to be people who are willing to there has to be enough number of people in the market who makes your idea possible. So I do not think the skill matters there as much as a right timing, right market, and your ability to really go after it in terms of bringing the financing, solving the problem, bringing the right kind of people to solve it. That matters. India is full of entrepreneurial examples right from our independence day. If you start looking at those things, the next generation of Bajaj and Tata are highly qualified. They themselves weren't. They weren't. And that's the same example that you will see everywhere. That is, there's just a great, amazing problem. Just yesterday I was talking about this decoction coffee ID. Right? The founder of that one is just like any of us. He just saw a problem in an idli batter and he started solving it. And it's $1 billion business today. So I feel that I wouldn't. You have a great education, very awesome. you don't, that's also not a bad thing.
Thank you, sir. Shekhar, I need to add.
So, see the education, if you look at the holistic way, there is a syllabus, something getting taught, and I'm competing with say 100,000 or 1 lakh in IIT JEE, and I beat everybody, right? And my IIT JEE rank of 1 is a trust factor on that person, saying that that person has worked harder than anybody else, smarter than anybody else in a system and beaten. So that's a signal to anybody. Why companies want somebody from good institutes? Basically, it's a seal of approval that somebody, you're basically outsourcing that this person is working hard. But in entrepreneurship, there is no syllabus. And in fact, what I have seen, at least out of 200 companies we have invested, first ventures have been rarely successful. Actually, last ventures have been successful. Usually, the last ventures get, because it's about people. First ventures is about scoring marks. Last ventures are about people. Who do I go with coffee? Who do I hang out with? Understand whose sentiments are. So I have seen actually last ventures getting right and hiring first ventures to do the hard work of technology.
Our kids are here in the audience, so I just want to clarify. Mr. Shekhar Kirana sir himself is a PhD. So, I mean, he's highly educated. But I want to say that education or no education is not the core factor for entrepreneurship.
It's a myth, is what I'm saying. Is it's a myth. See, what are the myths? Oh, I'm already aged. In the last 2 months, I just funded somebody who is 65 years old, starting an entrepreneur. And it's not a small check, right? Oh, women cannot start. That's the second myth. At least I personally have several women entrepreneurs where I sit on the board, right? And as a firm, we have done several of them. Some of them have been very successful. The third myth is like you're too young, therefore you shouldn't start. Like, the Oyo, when he started, he didn't have any college degree. He built a massive company, obviously went through ups and downs. As a young founder, he did amazingly well. Oh, education versus uneducated. Richard Branson is the $3 billion value he's created with zero education, right? So it's about passion, how you understand, learn, and doing the right things.
Thank you, Shekhar sir. I hope there are some tips and some suggestions in it for at least the parents in our audience. And yours. Sit there, Rishi sir. One question from the discussion. So as entrepreneurs start out, right? You sometimes do some things on your own. Alternately, you're having co-founders and you're having your startup employees. So what is that comfort factor or confidence in terms of having co-founders? Is it good to have a co-founder? It's actually better to start with someone who you can bounce off. And how about your first employees? You've started a couple of ventures that way. Some thoughts on both co-founders / early employees.
Let me go back if there's a market for the problem that you're solving, none of this matters. None of this matters. You could just make mistakes every day and still be able to sell, right? None of this matters, right? Everybody hates these credit card calls, Bajaj Finance calls and things like that. But there's a market for it because we all are using it, right? It doesn't matter how many times they spam, we still use it. So if there's a market for that, it doesn't matter. The other way of thinking it is, but if there's a market and now you want to go after that opportunity, would you not want to have a team to go after it? Do you want to go after this alone or do you want to enjoy this journey with a team? And that becomes a hard question to answer. And that becomes what kind of a team? Is it a co-founder team or is it some kind of a founding team? There, if you again luck out, you find some right founders co-founders who are filling some gap. A lot of us have a good commercial sense. You want a technology founder. A lot of us are good technologists but need a commercial founder. If something like that happens, great. But that is not like the only necessary condition for you to succeed. The market is necessary. But having said that, in my case, I did luck out in terms of having a co-founder, and the journey was much manageable. You could go after bigger problems, and also the journey is not easy at all. I mean, if I were to just look at what Krishnendu would want to do with his thing for the next 10 years, it's a great place, but it's not going to be an easy journey at all. So having partners, having co-founders, or having a team that believes in that and works together is a great thing, but it's not the must thing to have a successful company.
Shekhar sir, I'll just ask that question slightly differently, especially since you fund ventures or fund startups. So, would you have seen instances where you say, great idea, I like the way you're thinking, but here are certain gaps in if you want to go and address a market, you want to go attack this problem and go find your product or your solution. Maybe you need some muscle in certain places. So, I guess from that angle.
So, just to close, very rarely at least we see somebody is well versed in every aspect of business building. There is already one or two peaks. Either I'm a technologist, I can build a great product for this market, or I'm a great go-to-market person. I know marketing, I know sales, I can sell even if you give me anything. So those are the two peaks we see, and very rarely we have seen one person saying, I have both. And when that happens, magic happens. Okay? So what we suggest to most of the entrepreneurs, usually we have seen in our case, at least in the funded category, startups with two founders has a higher odds of success compared to a single founder. The reason is no startup goes as per your plan. It changes drastically, and it's a lonely job. At a CEO level or a founder level, you need one more person, because every day, every week, the fear comes to you. Am I doing the right thing? Will this succeed? Then there is uncertainty. You hear that somebody started a similar company. Oh, they are funded. How am I going to compete? So this fear and uncertainty is throughout, and you need one more person to balance this out. Hey, let's go and give a shot. We have agreed, we'll try. A trusted friend or a relationship where you two can work together to make it into a success. The interesting thing is, actually success failure is not related to that at all. What Rishi said, market. Look at India. Today we are $3 trillion economy. Fastest growing in the world, by the way. Largest economy, fastest growing in the world, 6-7%. In another 6 years, we will add additional $3 trillion. What it means, whatever we have done from independence to today, we will do that same amount of business in the next 6 years. That is an opportunity you will not see anywhere in the world. It is India. So if I want to do something, actually we should have started yesterday, not even today.
Two threads of thought from your things. I'll pick both of them and try to. So while venturing out on your own or their own, entrepreneurs definitely face trials and tribulations on the home front, right? Whether it is from the parents or spouse or children, even extended family, friends, however the concentric circle expands, right? Your thoughts on this, on your own experiences, and then Shekhar sir as well. How do you absorb it? How do you manage it? What's your, from your experience, Rishi sir, and then Shekhar sir as well?
I think it goes back to your first question, right? That is, does education matter, or co-founders matter? How do you become an entrepreneur? I think the most important factor in this journey is how much was your family supporting you. And I think this is the question that comes from a lot of folks. I started the most recent startup when I was 42. And a lot of these people have that question. I'm married, or parents have this particular expectation out of me, and how do you do that? So that your family supports on this journey is like the only most important thing in starting this journey. I was lucky, my wife supported in what I was doing. Family supported always throughout the journey. But I feel that these are the most important things in your preparation to become an entrepreneur. When you're even an entrepreneur in an office or in a company or an organization, start having these conversations with loved ones or people in your family is to, hey, this is where I want to see myself 2 years from now or 3 years from now. How do you think you'll support me, or how do you think we are prepared for this kind of a journey? And I did that. It's a very basic things that we all do. see if we can manage our loans, see if we can manage our insurance and things like that. But having said that, as Shekhar just said, it is a lonely journey. Even if you have co-founders or teams, it still is a hard journey, and your family support is very, very, very crucial. So my large advice is, that is the one place where I think you, if it takes time getting the family on board, it's important to that one, but do it along with the family, and that's the most important thing. The flip side of it also is, you may end up worrying too much about also that वो क्या बोलेंगे and family क्या बोलेंगे और what will my dad say and things like that, and that's also you have to balance out your entrepreneurial zeal out of that one. So family support is extremely critical, but you have to make that work before you start in that stuff. At least that's been my experience.
I think this is the most critical part where almost all of us are held back. The issue is, as we make money, our lifestyle also changes, and the fear comes from what if it fails, right? So having a runway for at least 3 to 4 years, assuming zero salary, takes that headache away. The best thing I saw, at least in the valley, and I practiced, is one person doing significant risk, other spouse taking a stable job. So when I moved from an established company, Jyoti, worked for IBM, I knew she'll never get fired. And I took the risk of going to a very young startup, worked there, got the equity as a founding member, and then moved to another startup, got the other equity, both got sold. So now I have enough money to try whatever I want. So building that, and that is a common thread, at least in the Bay Area. You have one spouse working for a stable company, another spouse take a significant risk. In 10 years, do 4 or 5 such companies, get enough equity, and when they do well, one of them, it pays for your car, house, kids, education, everything else, then you can think what I want. Not having that money is a severe pressure. If anything goes wrong, you give up. So I would say first get that, then the question of time. Like it is the 70 hours that we heard from Mr. Narayan Murthy. That's luxury in startup. You are coasting. so in startups, there is no start time, there is no end time. You're 24/7, you have to switch off for sleep, conversing with spouse. Like, the biggest complaint is you are there but you are not there. Because, spouse is asking something but you're thinking about how do I fix that customer's problem. So that is the challenge. Both time and this, the startups don't succeed because of only the person who's working. The people around with the conviction and full support, so that you go and give a shot for 4 years. If it happens, great. If it doesn't happen, we have learned so much, we can join another company. My belief is, overall, if you take a 10-15 year journey, starting and may not succeeding, you still come out positive compared to working for 20 years in a company in a regular one.
Sorry, I just want to add one thing, because there's so much of that is. It's in a very interesting times that we are on this panel in this beautiful residential community talking about startups. So that means there's so much of tailwind for this particular idea. One good thing now is a lot of you folks can reach out to others to understand how to even start. So there are Accel, Shekhar himself runs a community where you share with other people who've gone through this journey, what conversation they had with their family. Nearby NSR 77 IMB also has a lot of a community where folks have, whether you're married, not married, women founders, male founders, you can all go there and engage in the community to figure out what worked for whom. 10 years ago, 12 years ago, this would have been a very, very even silly, non-startup thing to even talk about. Today, it is actually a career path for many. So, and there is enough expertise out there. So, if you were thinking of this one, start engaging in the community, ask others what were some of the things that worked with their family, whether you're married or not married, and there's enough people who've done this journey and they'll be able to tell you this.
Thank you, Rishi sir and Shekhar sir. I was almost going to leave there. I think you all covered it, because recently Mr. Narayan, to his credit on another way, also stressed the need for society to support risk takers, right, and young entrepreneurs. So while you mentioned that becoming a software engineer or financial analyst is easier than being an entrepreneur, I was going to ask whether the current sort of ecosystem is amenable more towards entrepreneurs, and how much more should just society and community in general have to. And I think that's well answered. But
yeah, so my belief, if you take 10 years back to today, it's a lot easier to start, a lot easier to find money, and if you show success, a lot easier to scale. So it is getting better, so does the competition. That's right. When you started 10 years back, there were nobody. And now there are every sub-market segment, there are people trying to do. So preparation is important, high intent. See, it is like, it's not a wishful thinking. Just because you wish, I want to be one day like Flipkart founder or Swiggy founder, it won't happen. Right? You have to do it, and you have to prepare for it, and you have to do it 24/7 for the next 10 years. So when it comes to doing, people give up. When it comes to imagine and wishing, everybody is interested. So there's a significant gap between, doing versus thinking. So I think if people say that's where the question of passion comes, right? I'm so passionate, even if I don't get paid, even if not successful, I want to make a difference. Then you will commit yourself as long as you have runway in the life, and then you continue on and push it. If you don't succeed, at least you give a shot. If you don't even take a shot, you don't even know whether you'll succeed or not.
Agreed. Shekhar, so one just slightly tangential on this one. There's a third leg to this ecosystem, right? We've got that of angel investors, right? So this group does provide impetus to entrepreneurial ambitions for several people. There are several high net worth individuals who also look to, invest in startups. So there are both sides to it, right? Entrepreneurs will look to angel investors, possibly in startup. There are probably a lot of high net worth individuals today in the country, thanks to just how the tide has risen all boats, across corporate jobs. So some thoughts on this pillar of the ecosystem from two fronts. One, in terms of if you're an entrepreneur, how much do you rely on the angel investor community to start with? Alternately, also conversely, on if you are an investor thinking, let me invest in some startups. I seem to have a lot of money around. So some thoughts around, do you focus on a niche, some things in that?
So the angel layer is the most critical layer in every ecosystem. Usually it starts when people make money and there is a disposable income that I'm okay to take a full risk on the capital. Because angel is an extreme risk, extreme reward category. It is not a low risk, medium reward or low risk, low reward. Extreme risk, extreme reward. If you say, I will make angel investments and I will make massive money, I think you're wrong. But you say, I care about these three areas, maybe education, maybe the best coffee I want to make. I found a founder who is passionate about that coffee stuff. Let me give some money and own some equity, work with them and support them, and I enjoy that process. As a side benefit, I make money, that's awesome. But if you say, I want to make money as an angel investor, as a career path, my recommendation is you study how VCs operate, and then you replicate. Because we look at 2,000 companies and invest 10. That's our ratio. Angel investors have to do that. They have to really look deep to say whether this succeeds or not. Despite that priority at 10, only 3 of our companies succeed. Remaining 7 may succeed or may not succeed. So it is harsh. But for us, success is you are becoming a unicorn. That is our criteria. But as an entrepreneur, at $5 million, $10 million revenue, $1 million profit, you can buy all the Mercedeses and all the BMWs and all the big houses and have a fantastic life, much better than working for, say, no comment, any services companies.
So like a portfolio approach, even for angel investors, what makes sense?
Yes, a portfolio approach is very important because risks are very high on one.
And I mean, of course, just from a founder perspective, apart from the muscle memory, the muscle training that you start doing in the ecosystem, whether you are as a VC or you are as a founder or you are as an early startup person, is really your reputation, right? And these are the things that you start building. So if you want to get into this journey, being an angel investor and really being truly being an angel, not investor, but more of an angel in that community matters a lot. you start building a reputation in that, founders start believing in you, or they start trusting you, taking your help. Or the other side also is, as founders, you really start really looking for angels who truly are there to support you through this journey. Right? So don't just raise money because there's money on the table. Money has always been on the table in this country. I still remember 2013, 2014, I used to go to builders, construction folks to raise money because they had money. That's thankfully is not the case anymore. You can raise much cleaner, formal kind of money now. Right? So, but I think the key piece that I'm looking for is there is a financing angle to it, but there are other particular angle is really the reputation and the color of the money. And as angels, as you start getting in it, just don't get into it with just money. Just ensure that your money is given to the right kind of people, and you are doing the right things with that money within that ecosystem. And those are the important things.
Thank you for those insights. Rishi sir, I'll come back to you with another one because of the, because dual successes, I guess. Does the second venture get easier after you, executed the first one? Does it matter in that the first one succeeded or failed? So, how is that journey now that, not everybody can go through that, but because I have you on spot.
So, this is, as I said right now, the most important thing is the market that you're in is always matters. So what does happen as you start maturing in this journey, whether it is your second attempt, third attempt, or a much extended first attempt, is you start understanding these first principles much better. Right? You realize that market, your customer service, or your profitability, all these things matter a lot. And you start focusing on those problems first. And that, I think, is what helps. As second time, you're really not a silly idiot who just start, okay, I'll also do a startup, and you start doing startup. But the second time, you're a little more thoughtful and have really a lot more stars to go back again. I'm not repeating these things everywhere. But having said that, every journey is a new journey, and there is no easy path ever at all. Else everybody else also would have jumped on that idea. So I think the only thing that you get is you get a little more mature, and you start thinking of customers first, market first, profitability and commercialization first. That's the only thing that happens.
Yeah, so the second time founders make less errors, right? The first time founders make lots of errors. They have to kind of course correct many times to get to what really customers want, what I'm offering, why they should buy, and why I will win, and why now. These 5 questions, they will never get it for 3 or 4 years. Second time founders get lots of ideas. We are here, now we walk around, we get several ideas. This can be improved. This morning somebody was suggesting we could do better breakfast. Everybody has an idea, right? But when you apply this through the filter, the second time founders kill all the ideas quickly. So they're waiting for which fits the model that success. There is a framework that has to fit to the framework. So the knowledge and know-how of what makes a company successful. When I met him a long time back, he never talked about market. See, now he's been thinking about market. He only talked about his product. That's a change. And that is there in 101 entrepreneurship book in 10th grade. Everybody reads, but only touches the heart only when you go through it. So they say entrepreneurship is like learning music. It's a practice-based profession. So if you're learning music, I can give a comment, oh, you're a paswara, tune, this and that. You sing. You daily you have to practice. Same way. Entrepreneurship is like practice-based. You have to be at it, you have to look at it, you make a decision. After 1 year, you realize there was a mistake. You quickly have to correct, again try it, you fall down, you look forward and do it. But it's a lot of fun for people who enjoy the process, who enjoy saying that I will go at it. And once they see a little bit of success, they will never ever work for others. They will be always entrepreneurs.
I'll just add one thing is, that perhaps is one place where this is not a necessary thing. I'm saying is sometimes younger folks, time is with them. That is, if you have to make a lot of mistakes, then, and if you've been a starter entrepreneur in your 20s, you have a long, long time to figure out the mistakes. And then, so sometimes, and I'm looking at his portfolio also, he may bet on the younger folk a little more than folks like me. That's simply because there's more time to learn. Sometimes, not all the time.
But, in continuation though, right?
Just for example, Swiggy founders, how old are they? 23 when they started. They're running one of the massive company today, right? They do 2 million plus deliveries per day. We can complain, hey, this didn't come on time. 2 million, that is 20 lakh deliveries per day. On a game night, it goes to 25 to 30 lakhs per day, across nation. 27-year-old now.
Zepto even younger.
Zepto is even younger. So, it is younger people sometimes think really big, dream really big and learn, but in both cases, Zepto and Swiggy, the advantage was market. Market was in their favor. If market wasn't there, they would have fallen, learned, did something else.
But then, being an entrepreneur may not always work, right? So some might take a shot at it, feel that they don't seem to be cut out for it. Any suggestions in this regard? And Rishi sir, I'll start with you. You still had a good enjoy. I mean, is it still, you would still recommend entrepreneurship, saying take a shot at it? Just that thought, or would you say, at what point you say, that's okay, and you go on whatever it is?
Just for a brief history of Bangalore, if you look at it, is Bangalore turned out to be a tech hub in that way, or a tech or a startup hub and all those things, maybe 25, 30 years ago, right? I mean, the first of the companies were Infosys at one side, but Texas Instruments and other things were on the other side. And in the last 20 years, if you see the working style and all, the demand at job has only increased. That means we are all yearning to be a little more balanced life, little more happiness, personal happiness and things like that. And in that way, I have now seen is entrepreneurship journey is also a great career path compared to 20 years, 30 years ago, you were at Texas Instruments or HP, versus if you were in one of these tech companies, your work-life balance, your demand, your hours are almost going to be the same. It's going to be almost the same. So, as I started with that, it actually is a great career path. And it's an interesting career path wherein, while quote-unquote on the paper it may even look like a failure, it truly is not a failure. There are so many companies who are willing to absorb that kind of an experience. It really is like a 2-skip level, 3-skip level up for you within, if you were to go back to a company that you left to start your career. So, net I've seen largely is entrepreneur is, it really is a increasing the pie kind of situation for yourself, for the economy and for everybody around. If you somehow manage to the work-life balance, which is tough anyways at the job right now. So, it was, none of this was expertise or a knowledge 10 years ago, 12 years ago. Now what, they are second-time founders, third-time founders, we know it's there, and now we know that, hey, this is a great career path also.
Yeah, so I think, as I said, either you win or you learn. There is no lose situation anymore in entrepreneurship. And if you want to de-risk a little bit, I would go and work at a smaller startup, assuming I have a little bit more safety net, and get some equity. Don't worry about the salaries. Learn like no tomorrow. That gives you a pathway to leapfrog to the next level. So there are other pathways of doing it. And if the company succeeds, like the Freshworks, the first 50 people are all almost retired, they become angel investors right now, right? When a company grows, it carries all the first set of people to the next level with ESOPs and RSUs, and when the company gets listed or sold, everybody makes money. So I'm saying that is a very safe approach before you start your own way, because you learn a lot with slightly lesser risk.
So on that note, how difficult or how much of a mind shift do you need if you're planning to move out of a large corporate, probably even first into a startup or starting on your own? How different is that culture, for someone? Is that the hard work we can say, everywhere you will do, but just in terms of preparedness?
See, I work for large companies. I used to be at Quest US West before, then 2 startups. Then the second both startups, one was sold to Motorola, other one to VeriSign. I was with both companies for some time. Then joined Accel as a partner, right? So that I've seen the full spectrum. The decisions you would make in a startup that takes 2-3 minutes, sometimes it's 3 months in a large company, right? So you're used to it. Your job is to build consensus across lots and lots of people, even though you know it's the right decision. Even though you want to get this person to help, you have to get approval from everybody else. So it is, large companies are consensus process driven. Startups are do what is right. So if you have a mindset of what is right and you can shift, actually will flourish in a startup. What happens is you bring the process and thought process and mindset of a large company to a small company, you will fail. Same, from a small company mindset, you go, you start making decisions, everybody revolts in a large company saying that they didn't take approval from this and this, HR is unhappy, marketing is unhappy, he went and did something on Twitter against Narayan Murthy's thing, you will get killed. So, both requires mindset change. From a skill perspective, phenomenal value from a large company to a startup. Startups don't know anything. How to recruit, how to empower, how to help them, how to scale, how to motivate. All of them they have to learn. That is available in the back pocket for a large company. That is so valuable. But what is valuable, not valuable, that mindset change is required in both ways.
No, he's absolutely right. I think the one thing that the tailwind that helps for somebody who's in a corporate right now looking to switch to a startup is just how much of reputation that you build in a large company, the large company brand value, and it's much easier to carry that over into a startup. I think it's the mindset that changes from a startup perspective is how much things are directly in your control, be it how you work with the customer, how you build a product or a service, how you hire or work with tough decisions with employees. And those are some of the things that you would have done it in corporate, but in a very extended time frame, and that becomes accelerated here. But I just feel that if you've been in a corporate 5, 10, 15 years, at least in the last 10 years, 15 years of any of these companies, that it's the same learning. It's really, you are set, you have the foundation right there. And as a startup ecosystem, there's so much happening here, there's so much foundation that you can start at. And so, number one is you already have the reputation in a large company that you can easily use that in. And second is, there's a lot of learnings that you built in a corporate company. They were just, as he said, what takes 3 months here is 3 minutes. You just have to change some of the psychology mindset and it's
Before you jump over to some questions, if there are any from the audience, on a positive note, I'd say we are here with our Navodima program here as South City's Kannada Sangha has launched it, and then that's also because in a way Bangalore is our next ecosystem, and then an even broader ecosystem of India. So some thoughts of where Bangalore is in the mix, where India is, and just in terms of timing of where we are poised for what can be ours.
So there is a famous saying, right? You want to be born in an era of interesting time and interesting places. Bangalore is that right now. By hook or crook, lucky, we are in the right place, right time. This is a mecca for entrepreneurship, tech and startups. And if you look at the wealth across per capita in India, the fastest growing wealth addition to the country is Bangalore. Right? So you look at the companies that got started somewhere. Eventually, if they want tech, deep contribution, guess what? They all have to come back to Bangalore. So I work with a company called Answer. They set up global capability centers for a lot of people. Every large customer of US wants to set up in Bangalore. They go and meet the government. Government says, go to Mysore. Then they say, no, I want to be in Bangalore. So once that setup is established with investments, people, knowledge, sharing, this is an extraordinary situation. So I would say it's a great place. Having said that, some markets and some things like fintech or financial, you may want to be close to RBI and Mumbai. You may want to set up there. But if it is technology or any brand or any business-oriented things, this is a phenomenal place.
And more broadly, you don't have to be in the Bay Area, you can be in India.
No, almost all global companies like Freshworks, only when they had the CEO moved to the Bay Area in 2016 or 17. So after 5-7 years, most of our companies start in the Bangalore with a US office, no presence in the US for a very long time. And global buyers are also figured out that I don't care where the product is built. If it solves my problem and works, I will buy it from anywhere. And that we are seeing across. And the competition is global right now rather than local. Before it used to be the case that I have to go and meet. But right now it's not the case. So Bangalore, being in Bangalore, obviously eventually you have to have satellite offices wherever customers are. But to start with, I don't have to think about those things.
Sure, I have a relative coming in from Delhi, and he was surprised when I ordered pan over Swiggy in Bangalore. Right? I mean, you can do that in Bangalore, right? Bangalore is, as I said, it's a place where you will find a lot of support in your journey. There's a lot of expertise here, from lawyers, from CAs, from founding team, from marketing, sales. Everybody's here. So it really is a ecosystem environment that will help you compared to any other city. And globally, it's a very personal thing. Is I think anybody's now in 2024 thinking US, UK is making a mistake. This is a place that's everything is happening.
With that, if anyone has any questions, I'll open for any questions before I can bring it home.
We have volunteers writing down the questions, collecting from the audience for Satish. But before that, I had a question for the panel. As parents, how do we encourage entrepreneurial spirit in the kids? It does seem like an internal journey and then we get familial support, but I would like to know how to build that in children as they grow up.
So, as I said, it is an interest and passion development journey. If parents can help kids to go deeper in how others have done it, how to look at services, how to look at products, having some sort of an engagement, and say what they might be doing. So more exposure they get, more they will be able to make a call as they grow older. What happens is we are so pent up on, including me and Jyoti, in terms of how our kids have to do in education. We don't have so much of exposure. So maybe doing internships, small internships, going and working even in NGO. Outside home, outside curriculum, how much exposure we can do in businesses. In the US they say it's about lemon stands. We don't have that equivalent word at all in our vocabulary. In the US everybody says, when I was young I was setting up a lemon stand and selling this. Or the Scout cookie, Girl Scout and Girl Scout cookies selling. We don't do this, right? For example, if our kids were able to sell our coupons here, then we are saying where can entrepreneurial journey start. But we don't see that. So I would say if we can pull and encourage them, and the sales, marketing, talking to others, convincing others of the value of things, learning is immense. And more we can do that, I would say they'll automatically figure out. Because the word is out when they go to a company, when they go anywhere, they see how others are doing it and they will learn and say, why can't I do it? And automatically they think it.
Thank you.
Yeah, so some questions here, I'll just try to see if we can summarize them. Is it advisable to start right out of college or wait?
I'll be only giving contradictory answers because I'm practicing something else at home and saying something else. Just to extend to that question and to this question is, I think it is not about, to this exactly extent what Shekhar was saying, it's not about exactly starting a company or forming a company right after college that matters. So it's more about building your muscle or getting yourself out of the shell, or our education system or our solution that we all pass through. It has a way of building our character, which is right way, but there are multiple other things that we need to build. Culturally also we are a shy, introvert kind of people. So
use any opportunity to really improve one or two these things, right? Wherein you understand some sales, you understand some marketing, or you take an internship where you have a direct customer interaction. So any of those things are a much better foundation laying for out of college. Then you are lucky, you have the right support, you want to start a company, great. But if that has its own challenges, and for the right reason, because parents do want you to get masters and go to US, come back, all those things are needed. So I'm not challenging any of those things, but I feel that you can fill a gap on a lot of things, right? I mean, just if you, again going back to Vishnu's deck itself, just go through the deck on the presentation and the quality of it, the confidence of talking of it. Build up those things and you're still adding, you're preparing yourself to a journey. But right after college, I don't think there's any written thing like that. But many cultures, the Marwadi culture, another culture, has seeped into the family itself, where you're thinking of mera kitna nikalta hai isme, right? The percentage thinking is day one built in, and some of those things matter still.
Somewhat related questions are quickly, Shekhar, if you would. Is it always required to have an innovative or disruptive idea of entrepreneurship, just be a competition related?
There are examples of massively successful companies in all aspects. What people underestimate is when you want to go and pitch or sell something, is it a new use case or an existing use case or a problem that you're doing better? If you are doing new and improved, usually you have to see at least 1 to 2x difference in quality or price or something, so people are willing to change. Otherwise people continue on, even if there's an okay service, they'll continue on, because people don't like change. So what entrepreneurship is about, when things are changing, you have to catch them. When people are changing, markets are changing, behaviors are changing, you have to catch. When mobiles came into India, almost all these startups happened. Why? Because mobile gave a new behavior to humans. Otherwise, Swiggy wouldn't have happened, Ola wouldn't have happened, Uber wouldn't have happened. None of these companies, Instagram, none of these companies would have happened, right? If mobile wasn't there, all those companies were dead companies. So when changes are happening, you have to hijack them. Rather than saying that, okay, here is some one service I can do better. Yeah, you can do it in a small scale. But you want to build a large company, you have to look for large changes and get in sooner. The second question is, I always think sooner is better than later, but prepare. Don't rush.
I think Shekhar sir answered this question. The question was, should we worry about market saturation? Every idea I may have, there are already 10 companies doing it.
So be it. If you can build a better company, a better service. I'll give an example. When we invested in Swiggy, there were 30 food delivery companies. 30. Now there are only 2, Zomato and Swiggy, right? And Swiggy said, I'll focus on delivery time. Less than 30 minutes, I am very offended. Every day the CEO would come and show us how many deliveries are more than 30 minutes. And his view was, a hungry person with an okay food is better than a great food after 1 hour. So he said, I will optimize on that. And they started showing no delivery if they can't deliver within 30 minutes. That edge, one insight, early days, gave them better cohorts, better metrics, better NPS in all the regions they were operating compared to everybody else. So they started moving fast ahead of them. So you need to have that insight and build those.
What are the symptoms in a venture a founder must be watchful to take a call to pause so that there are chances of revival? So I guess if you are going through a bit of a tough, then what do you watch out for so that you can lie low positive or right?
Yeah. So I tell all my founders, if customers are not buying, that's a big question mark. Either your product is weak or your positioning is weak, or customers not there yet. So that's the one big issue. Second, customers, they buy, but they don't use. That's a second big thing. Either product has an issue, or you oversold. You oversold the service, but people don't care anymore. So these two are the most important signals. If these two are not there, I say continue on. But if these two are there, I would question what else I can do.
Thank you, sir. Okay, I think we'll finish up with this one from both of you. What we saw in OpenAI recently was unprecedented. What are your views on this? if you may want to put a view on this.
I think this is a very personal view. I think there are multiple things. One is it shows how whatever stage of the technology we are at globally, where it has become so important that many of us even left the final World Cup match to check the status of what's happening on OpenAI. So it's become so important, and also there's so much money. I don't know, I just need to imagine how would anybody else solve it with it. I think a couple of things that happens in the founder journey is oh my God. I'll just close this one item is it's very important when something important like this is happening, people manage their egos. And that wasn't happening, and that led to some of these challenges. But
I think there is a slightly bigger challenge there. It's a very iconic, most important company probably in the history of last 10, 15 years, 20 years, what Google did, what Facebook did for all of us. I would say this is another equivalent company. The challenge for the company was it has both for-profit entity, not-for-profit entity sitting in the same company. And the not-for-profit entity is worried about AI translating into AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, potentially going out of control like we saw in movies and Revv and taking over the humanity. And that is what they are worried about. For-profit entity is saying push, no safety required. So when those two things collide and CEO is taking one side versus the other side of the communication breakdown between the board and the CEO, that's what happens. So structurally it was set up, I would say, is not the right way. And communication failure, way too many issues, but looks like they're fixing it right now.
Thank you, Shekhar. Thank you for chiming in on that one. Long list, I'll try to net this out a little bit. I think some are probably handled already or can be done offline. So, I think I pick this one. It's interesting. What is the probability of success? I think it's a little hard question, but how many you come across who failed even after putting complete efforts? So I think I probably change the question somewhat and say, look, you might end up with some failures. So is there a point in time where you kind of I know it's hard to say call it quits, but you say let's move on, or how much do you versus I think where is that breaking point, in terms of failure? Do you already mentioned nothing's a failure, but
so for me, if when you start a journey and if you've learned so much about the world that you didn't know about, that's a success. Yeah? Because if you look at all of us here, our bank balance, it's sitting there earning money. If I can use that from employee mindset to an employer mindset, and I give a shot at it, why not? Right? That's one part. Second part is, say I will build somewhat of a success, not a great success, somewhat of a success, and make some money. The question of success there is, okay, if I continue on my job for the last 5 years, success. The third one is what I said, if you take a 15-year journey, somebody will give a shot for 4 years, say didn't succeed, they move to another company, I guarantee you they move faster than the 4 years in the same company. So over the next 10-15 years, success will come back because that learning can't be learned in MBA, can't be learned in any school, can't be learned anywhere. That your journey is yours. So I say overall in the long period it is a success, but in a short period it's always, people feel like, oh, I wasted 4 years. Actually it's never wasted, I learned for 4 years.
He started that, right? And I think you will either make money or you will learn something, right? There is really no loss here. You have a 10-year journey. If you are in a job, if you take Accenture, Infosys, or Swiggy, how many PPs are there? 5, 10. So what are your chances that you will be there? But since you get to be your own CEO for the next 4 to 5 years, that's one way of looking at it. The second is largely, you can see from the startup community, from the founders in India or in the Bay, when you look at them, you see that companies that allow revolving door, that is, you've gone, you've done a startup and you come back, have actually come back not at the same level, but 2-3 levels up. And if you were there, it would have never happened 4 to 5 years ago. So I think solving this problem from the probability of success perspective is a very real way of looking at it. It's like I sitting for an entrance exam looking what is my chance of being in the top 10. You're giving your shot, right? But the journey is going to be much more interesting, fulfilling, and rewarding. Is what last 10 years in Bangalore has actually shown.
I'd like to pick this last one, sorry, only because I'd like to maybe pick a bubble on something. I think luck, risk and contacts are the success of business. Any comments on this?
I saw it as sort of luck, timing. Right. So why now is a very important thing, because in the Bay Area there were so many things that came before iPhone failed. iPhone timing was very high. Many things is about timing. Getting the timing right in tech or business or the location or whatever you're doing in a small business. People call it as vastu, people call it as many ways. It's about timing and the market and the need. All three are combined together. You get the timing right, just the market takes you.
Thank you, Shekhar. Thank you so much. I'd like to just bring this home a little bit. Some at least gems I picked up. I hope I summarize. Winners are not quitters, quitters are not learners. I think that is one. Start wherever you are, right? And you could be an entrepreneur and still make a difference, right? Luck doesn't play out. You said so. It is market needs, and I think from a commercialization perspective. Family support, very important, but please start the conversation and keep at it till you find that balancing point. When to take the jump, don't give up either, but have them along with you on the journey. Some 3 to 4 year runway with some financial stability before you can actually take this up. So have plan B, have some stability under your feet before you make the jump. Passion is important. Angel investors, we spoke about extreme risk, extreme reward. We also spoke about how founder reputation is important if you are on the other side. That's what you really carry to and come. And you also mentioned more angel than investor is what you look at that community as. Second time venturers make less errors, so it starts to get better. You probably start to get smarter on the way. And then you said startups disrupt large companies. So that's the way you should look at it. And if you've got co-founders who are filling a gap, be it a technologist or a go-to-market person or any other, then it makes sense. Otherwise, usually is also good enough. If you don't need an education, you have good skills. That's fine. I hope I captured all the audience.
One closing comment. Satish, great host, great set of questions, and also the team. Thank you for making this happen.
Pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Satish, for conducting this wonderful panel, and thank you, Shekhar and Rishi as well, for giving us your insights. Definitely, I know it is just before lunch. Just hold on for 2 seconds. What I learned, of course, is to demonstrate high energy. So hold for 30 seconds while we felicitate our young one. Can you please come on stage, Krishnendu? I'd like to call upon Vishal. Oh, there they are, my dear friends. Please come on stage. Parashram, can you please felicitate Krishnendu, our little boy whom we want to encourage. Now, please do the honors for Rishi. Last and absolutely not the least, Prakash to do the honors to Mr. Shekhar Kirana. Can you all gather for a group take, please?